In the elite circles of New York, everyone knew my story. I was the foster groom of the Sterling family, an orphan taken in by the patriarch, raised specifically to be the perfect husband for his daughter and a loyal lieutenant for their business empire. When Victoria Sterling's elopement with her golden boy, first love, ended in pregnancy and a forced return home, I stepped up. On our wedding night, she stroked her swelling stomach and whispered that she didn't want her child to grow up without a father. To repay the debt of gratitude I owed the Sterlings for raising me, I became that father. Victoria was a workaholic. To support her and the child, I resigned from my executive position at Sterling Corp and became a full-time house husband. But 8 years of pouring my heart and soul into this family only earned me her indifference and neglect. Until that day, Victoria refused to eat, using work as an excuse, and her son, William, decided to mimic her behavior. While I bent down to pick him up, he suddenly slapped me across the face. "You're so annoying. You act like a nagging nanny every day." I said, "I want to be with Mom. Don't you understand English?" In that moment, something inside me finally snapped. I was tired. When I handed the divorce papers to Victoria, she frowned, looking at me with displeasure. "Are you serious?" "Yes, I'm serious. What about our son? What do you plan to do?" Victoria reverted to her usual cold demeanor, her tone flat. "Just sign it." I tapped my finger lightly on the desk, treating her like a client I was negotiating with. "The boy isn't biologically mine, and he carries the Sterling name. Why would I want custody? Also, I'm leaving with nothing. I will transfer all my shares in Sterling Corp back to you. From this day forward, I owe the Sterling family nothing," I added slowly. A flicker of surprise passed through Victoria's eyes. She lowered her gaze, looking at me as if she couldn't understand what kind of tantrum I was throwing. "Is this because of yesterday?" She softened her tone slightly. "Will is usually very sensible. If you hadn't failed in some way, why would he treat you like that? You should look for the problem within yourself." I froze. She was implying I wasn't good enough to William. I stared intensely at Victoria. When she named the child, she chose William specifically to honor her first love, Liam, because the name contained his. I never said a word. I treated the boy as my own flesh and blood. When he was sick, I stayed up all night. When he was upset, I did everything to make him laugh. When he was bullied, I fought for him regardless of the cost. And what did I get in return? A ruthless slap in the face. I would remember that humiliation forever. Yesterday was just the fuse. Similar incidents have been piling up for years. "Julian Thorne." Victoria's expression turned cold, leaning forward to threaten me. "I advise you to stop while you're ahead. If you keep making a scene, I really will divorce you." I didn't explain further. I simply pushed the divorce papers toward her again. We stared at each other in silence for a long time. Seeing that she finally signed, I took the documents and returned to the room to pack. I didn't listen to a single word of the compensation package she offered. I just wanted to escape this suffocating house. Seeing me packing, Victoria said, "Julian, the legal procedures take time. You don't have to rush to move out." I glanced at this woman who still maintained her haughty posture. I used words she once threw at me. It's better not to drag things out to avoid lingering problems. Victoria didn't speak again. As I packed, I realized the house was filled with trivial things, every bit of it arranged by my own hands. I scanned the room, decided on a clean break, and walked out dragging only 2 suitcases. In the living room, William, who was watching a legal explainer video, stood up to block my path. "Are you really divorcing Mom?" I nodded. He scoffed, his face full of disbelief. The freeloader finally grew a spine, using divorce as a childish trick to scare people. Looking at William's cold expression, he was the spitting image of his mother. "William Sterling, who taught you to speak like that? Apologize to your father." Victoria scolded her son, her face looking grim. But William turned his head away, his face stubborn, refusing to speak. Victoria forced a stiff smile and asked me, "Where are you going?" "I'll have the driver take you." "No need, I'll walk." I shook my head, rejecting the offer. "By the way, remember to add a clause that I waive visitation rights. His biological father is back anyway. It doesn't matter if he has a stepfather like me or not." With that, I turned and left. I didn't look back at the mother and son, who stood frozen in place with very different expressions. I handed the divorce papers to my lawyer and checked into a high-end boutique hotel. I had wanted to experience this place for a long time, but my life had revolved entirely around them, leaving me no opportunity. After checking in, I turned off my phone, lay on the bed, and stared at the ceiling, lost in thought. From the moment I could remember, I was adopted by Arthur Sterling and brought into the Sterling family, groomed to be the future son-in-law and the right hand of the Manhattan princess. The elite circle whispered that Arthur had raised me well, a perfect husband custom-made for the Sterling family. I thought so too. I never imagined that just before Victoria was due to return from her studies abroad, she would disappear. Arthur and I were frantic. A missing person case overseas was no small matter. Through various channels, we found out Victoria had eloped with a senior named Liam Jenkins. When we found them, she stood in front of Liam, arguing passionately. Liam and I are truly in love. I don't want to marry Julian, and I'm already pregnant with Liam's child. Please don't tear us apart. Dad, I beg you. If Mom were still alive, she wouldn't separate true lovers. However, under Arthur's hardline tactics, Liam was driven away, and Victoria was forcibly brought back to the States. The reason wasn't entirely because of me. Arthur and I had obtained Liam's dossier, something kept from Victoria. While Liam appeared to be a rising star on Wall Street, his private life was chaotic, and he had engaged in illicit dealings that crossed dangerous lines with local syndicates. If a man like that married Victoria, the future would be disastrous. Back in New York, after she threatened suicide, Arthur made a concession. You can keep the child, but you must marry Julian. The Sterling family keeps its word. So, we held a wedding. I am human, and I have emotions, but thinking of Arthur's kindness to me and believing that hearts are made of flesh and could eventually be warmed, I quit my job and willingly took on the role of a domestic caretaker. But that slap from William woke me up. You can't warm a stone. Oh, right. I remembered something I had deliberately ignored for a long time. 2 years ago, on the day Liam returned to the country, Victoria didn't come home until past midnight. She carried a familiar scent, the custom woody cologne Liam used to wear. 3 days passed in a blink. I had peeled the labels of Sterling family foster groom and William's dad from my bones bit by bit. I turned on my phone, and the screen flooded with countless missed calls and messages, all for Victoria and William. I scanned a few. They were laughable. Victoria's texts. Where are you? Come back and talk. Julian Thorne, answer the phone. Have you made enough of a scene? Get back here now. Between the lines, she shifted from command to anxiety, and finally to anger. Her emotions were intense, but there wasn't a shred of guilt, only impatience at my ingratitude. She probably still thought I was just throwing a tantrum. Even more ridiculous were William's messages. Did you really leave? Mom said you'd be back in a few days on your own. Still pretending? You're nothing without the Sterling family. Running out of money? Hurry back. The boy's harsh tone reminded me of one person, Liam. Shortly after Liam returned, not only was Victoria rarely home, but William also grew increasingly dismissive of me, feeling that having a Manny for a father was embarrassing. It seemed his real dad had put in quite a bit of effort. Now they were bombarding me with messages and calls simply because the new housekeeper wasn't as convenient, demanding I return to be their free servant with a tone of granting me a favor. Although I was angry, it didn't matter anymore. I gathered my thoughts and blocked both of them. Out of sight, out of mind. Taking a deep breath, I nervously dialed a number that had been gathering dust for years. Marcus Cole was my best friend in college. We had founded a company together that was now valued in the billions. I had chosen to withdraw to marry Victoria, a decision that nearly ended our friendship. A few days ago, he had emailed me, asking for my opinion on a project. The phone connected quickly, and his uncertain voice came through. Jules, is that you? Yeah, it's me, Julian. I've left the Sterling family. Do you still have a desk for me? My voice trembled slightly as I spoke the truth. Hearing it was me, he became incoherent with excitement. Holy shit, you finally woke up? I knew the Sterling lifestyle wouldn't keep you forever. Of course there's a desk. You come here, and the CEO spot is yours. God, this is great. You're finally back in the game. Are you in New York right now? I'll come get you. Marcus's rapid-fire response left me speechless for a moment. After a brief silence, I gave him my location. While waiting for him, a strange number called. I answered casually. Hello, is this William's father? The voice on the other end was polite, but laced with anxiety. I'm his homeroom teacher. It's like this. William just got into a dispute with a classmate and, in a fit of rage, injured the other student. Is it convenient for you to come to the school? The teacher was cautious. I knew William's private school was filled with children of the wealthy and powerful. The teachers couldn't afford to offend anyone. I'm sorry, ma'am, I replied softly, looking out at the city skyline. I have divorced William's mother. I don't have custody. You should contact his mother. And is he right next to you? The teacher sounded awkward. Yes, he's right here. I sighed. Could you put me on speaker, please? Yes, of course, Mr. Thorne. Thank you. I heard the rustling of the phone moving. I assumed William could hear me. I tried to keep my tone gentle. William, I'm no longer your father. You know this very well. If you have trouble, find your mother or your biological father, or even your nanny. But in the future, I don't want you calling me again. And surely you haven't forgotten the text messages you sent me over the last few days. Also, one last piece of advice. If Liam asks you to help him get something from your mother, do not agree and definitely do not do it. With that, I apologized to the teacher again and hung up. The warning about Liam wasn't baseless. A biological father with a criminal record leading his son astray wasn't just about pushing me out. He definitely had other motives. Furthermore, Arthur Sterling had passed away unexpectedly 2 years ago, and before the funeral was even over, Liam had returned to the country using the excuse of visiting the child. It was too coincidental, too obvious. His goal was money, perhaps even swallowing Sterling Corp whole. But none of that was my concern anymore. My warning to William was the limit of my benevolence. I went out for a walk, and by the time I returned, Marcus had arrived. The moment we met, he gave me a bear hug. Julian, that divorce was perfectly timed. I was speechless. As I pushed him away, my eyes swept over a familiar figure. Elena Cole, Marcus's younger sister, 2 years our junior in college. She had been part of founding the company back then. I hadn't seen her in years. The innocent, cute girl from back then was now a stunning female executive with a commanding presence. Marcus, Elena pulled her brother away and rolled her eyes. Watch your mouth. Julian, it's been a long time. I'm sorry, my brother is just too excited. Looking at her apologetic face, flushed slightly red, I quickly said it was fine. Truthfully, seeing my best friends again made me more excited than he was. I led them to the lounge and began to explain my plans and my current predicament. Marcus slapped his thigh in anger. Victoria Sterling, that blind woman. No talent, no motives. Sterling Corp has stagnated under her for years, and now she betrays a husband who gave her everything? Despicable. Marcus, if I'm not mistaken, you're the majority shareholder of Astra Capital now. How do you still have that temper? I teased him to change the subject. He's always been like this. Elena put a hand to her forehead, looking helpless. Julian, you don't know. Without you here to suppress him these past years, his ego has gone through the roof. He's a hands-off boss. I end up doing everything. I smiled genuinely. Isn't that good? Even without working for years, I constantly hear people praising the business goddess of the industry. I gave her a thumbs up. It wasn't flattery. Elena was truly exceptional. Although she was 2 academic years behind me, she was actually 4 years younger than Marcus and me. She had skipped grades to get into university. Elena, why are you blushing? Marcus peered closely at his sister. Let me tell you, be reserved. Julian just escaped a fiery pit of marriage. Don't push him back into another one. Me, Marcus you. Elena, Marcus Cole. After some banter, the siblings took me to a villa Marcus had bought earlier that year, insisting I stay there to transition. From that day on, I threw myself into work, carefully analyzing a high-potential cross-border project with Marcus and the team. If successful, it would push the group to the next level, entering the ranks of $100 billion corporations. A few days later, while reviewing documents, I was interrupted by a call from a strange number. After a moment's thought, I answered. Julian, it was Victoria's voice, filled with exhaustion. Where are you? Home. Will he? Ms. Sterling. I cut her off, my tone as calm as a customer service rep. We are divorced. William's issues are the responsibility of his guardian, or his biological father, Liam Jenkins. It has nothing to do with me. I emphasize the words biological father. William had gone from sensible, good kid to this little monster. Aside from Liam's influence, Victoria's tacit permission played a huge role. Her call sparked a nameless fire in my gut. During our 8-year marriage, she was cold and distant, treating me like a roommate. Now, in just 2 weeks, she had called and messaged more than she had in the past year. Back then, I would text her, coming home for dinner? I made your favorite Kung Pao chicken. Your period is starting. Don't drink at the social event. Still in a meeting? Should I bring you a late-night snack? She would reply with a single K, or simply ignore it. My screen was usually a wall of my own outgoing blue bubbles. Now, she talked as if nothing had happened. Where was this energy before? The line went dead silent. After a few seconds, Victoria said hoarsely, Julian, my period started. My stomach hurts so bad. Where's that medicine you used to give me? And was been very naughty lately, fighting with classmates, even skipping school. I don't know how to talk to him. How did you make him so well-behaved before? My fingers tightened around the phone. I was furious. I fought the urge to explode, keeping my voice steady as I enunciated every word. Victoria Sterling, I will repeat this once. We are divorced. I'm not your husband, and I'm not your family's nanny. If you have cramps and can't find medicine, That's not my problem. You are the CEO. One word from you, and plenty of people will run to buy it. Liam can do it. If the kid won't listen, telling me is useless. He even slapped me. You're asking me? If you can't control him, send him to a reform school. I have no relation to William Sterling anymore. I don't know what you're thinking. Maybe you're indignant. Maybe you're just used to my care. But Victoria, I don't want this to get ugly. We are done. Please do not disturb me again. Do you understand? I hung up without waiting for a response and blocked the new number. Changing numbers was futile. There are no secrets in this circle, and she could find me if she really wanted to. I just hoped that being this clear would make her stop. Of course, I wasn't foolish enough to think Victoria still had feelings for me. It was just that she was accustomed to my service and couldn't adapt to the inconvenience. I picked up the file again, noted some areas for revision, and got up to go to Elena's office for a discussion. Although the siblings had made me CEO, I had been out of the market for 8 years. One can be confident but not arrogant. My life returned to calm. Negotiations with the foreign partners went smoothly, and the signing was scheduled for next week's financial summit. The last shackle on me was about to be broken. Years ago, at Sterling family gatherings, many relatives mocked me, calling me Mrs. Sterling. The reason was that after I resigned as VP to wash hands and make soup, I lost my value to the Sterling family. A man without economic value was effectively emasculated in their eyes, a freeloader, a trophy husband. I needed to succeed. I needed to make a name for myself at this summit to completely shed that humiliating label. On the day of the financial summit, Elena and I arrived early. The organizers wanted to change the usual opening format, using Astra Capital's live signing as the opener to pique the guests' interest. But as soon as we entered the hall, we ran straight into Victoria. She was holding Liam Jenkins' arm with her right hand, and her left held William, who looked at me with disdain. I paused, bringing the whole family. Then I remembered this summit was different. To promote networking for overseas expansion, families were invited. Liam spoke first. Mr. Thorne, here accompanying Ms. Cole as her date. I ignored him, took Elena's hand, and stepped around them, but Victoria blocked my path. She spoke with a smirk. Julian, I knew you couldn't let go of me and our son. You're using your school friend as an excuse to come find us. I looked at her, speechless. Moo, I'm here for the summit, not for you, Ms. Sterling. I emphasized her title to avoid misunderstanding. Victoria's smile froze. Don't joke, Julian. You haven't worked in years. Which company would hire you? Then, realizing something, her eyes dropped to my hand holding Elena's. Her face darkened instantly. Julian, how could you? She pointed a trembling finger at me, her voice sharp. Let go of her hand right now, and come to my side, or don't blame me for truly turning against you. I glanced mockingly at Liam beside her. His face was black as a skillet. Victoria realized her mistake and quickly explained, Julian, it's not what you think. I brought Liam to help him build some domestic connections. You don't need to explain, I interrupted, raising a hand. We have no relationship. You three enjoy your family time. I pushed past her, leading Elena toward our partners. The signing went smoothly. The organizers hosted the meeting around my overseas cooperation case. I became the focus of the summit, successfully shedding the shameful shackles of my past. Everyone looked at me with admiration. Many tycoons approached me, hoping to win together in the overseas market. Of course, excluding one person, Victoria. She watched me coldly from the sidelines. I ignored her and continued talking with the business leaders. But soon, a scream and crying erupted from the buffet area. Boo-hoo. Everyone looked over. We saw William had smashed a dinner plate over another little boy's head. The plate was shattered. The injured boy was the son of Mr. Rahman, my Saudi partner for this deal. I ran over with Rahman. Although the scene wasn't chaotic yet, onlookers quickly gathered. I grabbed a sterile napkin from a stunned waiter to press against the child's forehead. Listening to Rahman's wife, I learned the truth. She had taken her hungry son to get food. They bumped into Liam and his son. Liam wanted to curry favor with the Rahmans for business, so he kept fawning over the wife and child. But he ignored William, whom he had already corrupted. The boy, angry at seeing his father suck up to another kid, grabbed a plate and swung it. Rahman was red-eyed with rage, staring death at the bewildered Liam and the defiant William. I signaled Elena to take the injured boy and his parents to the hospital, promising Rahman a perfect explanation. As they left, a loud slap echoed behind me. Smack, you little bastard. Liam, to escape responsibility, slapped William across the face. Speak, why did you hit him? Knocked to the ground, William stared blankly at his biological father, seemingly unable to comprehend that the dad who always spoiled him would hit him. He broke down, sitting on the floor, wailing. Victoria, who had finally squeezed through the crowd, froze at the scene. Everyone, including me, was stunned. In such a public setting, you solve the problem first and discipline the child at home. And Liam's blame shifting was too obvious. Victoria looked at Liam with disbelief, as if seeing him for the first time. She stepped forward and slapped Liam hard. "Get out. Go back to the U.S." "Victoria, listen," it was the kid. Before Liam could finish, Victoria slapped him again. "I won't say it twice. Don't make me make you disappear. I will have people watching you." This threat terrified Liam. The incompetent man fled the venue in disgrace. I watched with secret amusement. What a beautiful karmic boomerang. "Julian Thorne, you're just going to watch him hit your son?" Victoria screamed at me after comforting the boy. I looked at her unimpressed. "Ms. Sterling, watch your words. The child belongs to you and Mr. Jenkins. What does he have to do with me? Besides, we are divorced. If she wanted to go crazy, I didn't mind letting her embarrass herself publicly." Victoria realized she was losing composure, glanced at the gossip-hungry guests, and shut her mouth. I looked at William's pale face, the clear handprint swelling on his left cheek. He stared blankly in the direction Liam had fled, his arrogance gone, replaced by confusion and fear. I extinguished the flicker of pity in my heart and turned to discuss the solution with the organizers. This had to be handled properly. Ramon had traveled halfway around the world with his family. This was a breach of trust. After a brief discussion, I returned to Victoria. "Ms. Sterling," I spoke professionally. "Mr. Ramon and his family are at the hospital. His mood is likely volatile. I suggest you take your son and apologize personally. Lower your posture and bring sufficient sincerity, like that multi-million-dollar project your group has overseas." "Julian," she swayed slightly, biting her lip, her voice dry. "I am merely offering advice based on business etiquette and damage control." I interrupted, my voice devoid of warmth. "Whether you listen is up to you." "Excuse me, Mr. Ramon is waiting for me to handle the aftermath." Without waiting to see her expression, I turned and walked away, back straight. In the hospital room, Mr. Ramon sat by his son's bed, his face livid. His wife whispered comforts to the child on the other side. "Mr. and Mrs. Ramon," I bowed slightly sincere. "I'm deeply sorry that you and your son encountered such an unpleasant incident. The CEO of Sterling Corp has made it clear she will offer sufficient compensation and will apologize personally. Regarding our cooperation." "Julian," Ramon stood up abruptly. "You saw it. That savage boy and that irresponsible man. They must pay. My son's safety cannot be compromised again. Your summit is a disappointment. I completely understand your feelings. The nature of this incident is atrocious. The organizers and I bear undeniable responsibility for oversight. On behalf of my side, I extend my deepest apologies. In addition to Sterling Corp's compensation, Astra Capital is willing to cover all subsequent medical, psychological, and emotional distress costs for your son. Furthermore, to ensure your son's safety and the smooth progress of this cooperation, we will immediately upgrade security, providing dedicated bodyguards until your family leaves the country safely. Also, as a show of sincerity, we are willing to concede an additional 0.5% of the profit points within the existing framework." Ramon's anger subsided slightly, replaced by calculation. He looked at his wife, who gave a small nod. Business instinct told him that even great anger must be weighed against benefits. He stared at me for a few seconds. "Julian, your handling is timely, but that boy and his parents must receive due punishment. I cannot accept them getting away with it. Rest assured, the summit organizers have retained all surveillance footage and will cooperate with any legal proceedings. Sterling Corp's behavior has damaged the summit's reputation. The organizers will not be lenient. I personally guarantee I will follow up on this." Ramon's jaw finally relaxed. He patted my shoulder heavily. "Julian, I trust your word. I hope this cooperation won't be overshadowed." "Absolutely not." I shook his hand firmly. After settling the Ramons and arranging for Elena to accompany them, fatigue washed over me. I walked out of the room, ready to call the driver, when an unexpected figure blocked the end of the hallway. It was Victoria. She stood alone. William wasn't with her. Her eyes held a complex mix of lingering anger, stubborn pride, and deep down, a trace of bewildered helplessness. This was unlike the arrogant woman I knew. "Julian," she spoke, her voice terribly hoarse, stripped of its usual chill. "We need to talk." I stopped a few meters away. Ms. Sterling, I thought that the moment the divorce papers were signed, we had nothing left to discuss, especially regarding your son's education. Will he? She flinched, instinctively wanting to defend him, but the words felt pale. He was just impulsive. Didn't want to see his dad. So, I asked calmly, my voice echoing in the empty corridor. His impulse just cost you a project worth tens of millions. He's unhappy, so he smashes a plate on someone's head. Victoria, for 8 years, it's always been like this. When he makes a mistake, there's always an excuse. It's always someone else's problem. Just like you. He never has to take real responsibility. Liam hit him? He deserved it. It's the bitter fruit of your past inaction. Look at that piece of trash. That's the true love you gave up everything for? That's the good father inside your head who's 100 times better than me, the nanny? My voice wasn't loud, but it pierced her like a cold knife. Her face went deathly pale. She swayed and grabbed the wall for support. The phrase 100 times better than me clearly shattered her last defense, because those were her words. On William's 5th birthday, holding the boy while video calling Liam, she told him the man on the screen was his real dad, 100 times better than the useless man cooking in the kitchen. And you? Victoria snapped her head up, eyes red. Julian, do you have no responsibility? You were his father. You were with him for 8 years. He turned out like this, and you only blame me? Father. I looked at her, the last shred of goodwill vanishing. Victoria, ask yourself honestly, since the day Liam returned. No, since the moment your heart still held that man. Did you, William, or anyone in the Sterling family ever truly consider me his father? When he first disrespected me, did you stop him? When he said I embarrassed him by being a nanny, did you correct him? Today, when he smashed a plate on an innocent child, what did you, his mother, do besides look shocked? I stepped closer, forcing her to retreat until her back hit the wall. Are you blind? Couldn't you see Liam teaching the child to provoke, to hurt, turning him cold, selfish, and violent? Look at William now. Where is the sensible boy he used to be? For 8 years, I protected him, fearing he'd suffer because of his background. And the result? It didn't compare to 2 years of Liam's teaching and your silent permission. My words were a heavy hammer, forcing Victoria to lower her head again. I lifted her chin, forcing eye contact. You too enjoyed my meticulous care, letting me raise another man's child for you with peace of mind, all while allowing everyone, including yourself, to remind me constantly. I am an outsider, a replaceable, free servant. Now, your true love slapped your son in front of all of New York, and your precious son smashed the Sterling family's face and your millions. Now you remember responsibility? Victoria, wake up. My voice dropped, carrying a sense of release. Stop looking for me. We are clear. Clean up your own mess. Discipline your own son. Whether he continues to rot with Liam or you fix him, it has nothing to do with me. By the way, when Liam was driven away years ago, he happily took $100 million and left you and the baby to go live the high life. If you don't believe me, ask the old butler. He has the evidence. Looking at Victoria's hollow eyes, I left her with one last sentence. You're on your own. I turned and walked away without pausing. A week later, I saw the Rahman family off at the airport. Before leaving, he excitedly promised to host me with the highest honors when I visited Saudi Arabia. I accepted with a smile. The child had recovered, and Elena and I had taken them on a tour of New York, smoothing over the incident. As they entered the terminal, the boy played happily with the Monkey King figure I had given him. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Jules, you done? The celebration dinner is waiting. Get over here. Followed by a location pin from Elena and a simple smiley face. I took a deep breath and got into the car. Half an hour later, I arrived at a private banquet hall. The moment I opened the door, noise and the scent of champagne washed over me. He's here. Our hero has arrived. Marcus spotted me first. Slightly drunk, he put down his glass and rushed over, giving me a bear hug that nearly snapped my ribs. Brother, you didn't see it. He slapped my back. Those old foxes were staring at us. The Saudi line is secure. Billions. Astra is officially entering the billion-dollar club. Ha ha ha. Infected by his enthusiasm, I laughed. All right, any more padding and I'll fall apart. Who's going to run the projects? I'll do it. Elena's voice came with a laugh. She walked over gracefully with 2 glasses of red wine. She handed one to me and glared playfully at Marcus. Brother, if you don't let go, Julian will retire early from injury. Marcus grinned and let go, turning to hype up the crowd. The team toasted me one by one. They were fully convinced of my leadership now. I drank cup after cup, needing to release. Just as my head started spinning, the lights cut out. The room plunged into darkness, save for a sliver of sunlight through the curtains. Before I could tell everyone not to panic, the lights blazed back on. I blinked, adapting to the light, and froze. Elena stood not far away, holding a bouquet of roses, walking slowly toward me. The warm light caught the slight curl of her hair and her exquisite face. Julian, ignoring the inconvenience of her gown, she dropped to one knee and held the flowers out to me. Will you be my boyfriend? Or will you be Elena Cole's husband? My heart skipped a beat. I had always known her feelings. In college, she used her brother as an excuse to hang out, study, and eat with me. She was a brilliant woman who didn't need to suffer through a startup with us, yet she supported me without hesitation. I had been moved back then, but to repay the Sterling family, I had played dumb. Past and present overlapped. I looked at the anxious Elena. Yes, I didn't hesitate. I took the flowers and pulled her up. I am willing to be Elena Cole's husband. And I, Julian Thorne, swear to stay by your side until we grow old. It felt a bit odd. Maybe because I was the one proposed to? I instinctively patted my pockets. Empty. Brother catch. Marcus shouted, tossing a small box. I caught it, opened it. Perfect. Thanks, man. I dropped to one knee and held the ring up to Elena. Ms. Cole, will you be my wife? Elena nodded excitedly, her eyes misty. I slipped the ring onto her finger. Quiche, quiche. Marcus started chanting, and the staff joined in. I looked at Elena's flushed cheeks and leaned in to kiss her. The celebration turned into an engagement party. The next morning, Elena and I went to a bridal shop to customize our outfits. While discussing styles with the designer, my phone buzzed. A strange number. I hung up. It rang again immediately. I frowned, about to hang up, but Elena stopped me. Take it, it might be urgent. I answered. A child's voice, thick with crying and sheer terror, screamed through the speaker. Dad, Daddy, help, Mom. Mom is bleeding so much. She won't move. No one is home. Daddy, I'm scared. Sobi. It was William. The terror in his voice pierced my eardrum like an ice pick. My heart sank. I pinched my thigh to stay focused and soften my voice. Will, don't panic. Tell me, are you at the old house? Where's the blood coming from? After confirming the details, I kept him on the line and used another phone to call 911. Will, I've called the doctors. Go unlock the door and wait. Find a clean towel and press it on your mom's wound. Can you do that? I'm scared. Daddy, when are you coming? The boy was shaking. I'll be right there. Do as I say, be a good boy. I shouted the reassurance. Okay, Daddy. I realized Elena was gone. Julian, the car's out front, she called, running back into the shop. I nodded, hugged her briefly, and ran. At the hospital, Victoria was in surgery. The doctor said the stab wound wasn't fatal, but damaged her reproductive organs. She could never have children again. Outside the OR, I comforted William. Once he calmed down, he told me what happened. Pieced together with the police report, the truth came out. Since the Ramon incident, Victoria had been removed as CEO and forced to cover the losses. She fired the staff and sold assets. Liam, hearing this, tried to use the kid to extort money before fleeing. He didn't know Victoria, warned by me, had seen the evidence and refused to give him a cent. Desperate, Liam argued with her and stabbed her in the abdomen. By the time William heard the scream, Liam had grabbed some jewelry and fled. Will, don't worry, your mom will be fine. I patted his back. He looked at me. His eyes held fear, loss, and deep guilt. I'm sorry. He hugged his knees, burying his face. I was bad before. I hurt you. That long overdue apology pricked my heart. He used to be a sweet kid. I rubbed his head. It's okay. It's in the past. Be good to your mom from now on. Footsteps approached. It was Elena. She was carrying a thermal bag, sweating slightly. Her eyes held no judgment, only concern. Julian, she whispered. It's past lunchtime. I had the maid make porridge. You and the child should eat. She looked gently at William. We'll drink something hot. It'll help with the fear. William stiffened, looked at Elena's kind face, and nodded slightly. Just as he finished eating, the doors opened. Patient is out of danger, the doctor announced. But she needs absolute rest. No soaks. A weight lifted off my chest. When Victoria was wheeled into the VIP ward, I stood a few steps away, looking at the pale woman. 8 years of marriage ended in this broken scene. To be honest, before she left for her studies, we were close. She accepted our arrangement. I had hoped for a peaceful separation, but that scumbag ruined everything. Julian, they're here, Elena whispered. I had asked her to hire a nursing team. My presence might be a trigger for Victoria now. I looked at the bed one last time, took Elena's hand, and turned to leave. At the door, a weak voice stopped me. "Julian." I looked back. Victoria's eyes were open, staring hollowly at the gray sky outside the window. Her lips moved under the oxygen mask. I, finally, refused him. I understood. She had let go of her obsession with Liam, and our messy past, but it meant nothing to me now. I stood for 2 seconds. "I wish you well. Live a good life." I opened the door and walked out with Elena, leaving the heavy air behind. Shortly after Victoria was discharged, news of the Sterling Princess faded from the elite circle. Rumors said she sold core assets to fill the hole William created. Others said after Liam was arrested, she took the child and vanished. Whatever the truth, it had nothing to do with me. Months later, Elena and I held our wedding. The sunlight was perfect, cherry blossoms falling like snow on her white veil. Marcus stood as the officiant, eyes red. He cleared his throat, voice booming with emotion. "Julian Thorne, do you take Elena Cole to be your wife, to love and cherish in sickness and in health, until the end of your life?" I looked at Elena, her eyes bright as stars. "I do." We exchanged rings and kissed amidst the applause and falling petals. Life after marriage was as smooth as silk. We were partners in life and business. Astra Capital expanded steadily. One late spring morning, I sat at my desk reviewing overseas files. Elena, 3 months pregnant, brought me coffee and a morning kiss. The housekeeper brought in a plain envelope. No return address, just a postmark from a small coastal town in the south. I picked it up. Inside was a postcard. The front showed a quiet blue beach. In the distance, a small figure was picking something up from the sand, looking relaxed. On the back, in childish but careful handwriting, "No one at the new school knows who I am." Mom smiled. It was signed with a small drawing of a crescent moon and a sun. And the name, William Thorne. I stared at the handwriting. I could almost see the once violent boy letting go of his burdens in the salty sea breeze. And the proud woman, perhaps watching from the sand, finally finding a genuine smile. The last thread of attachment in my heart blew away with the wind outside the window. I put down the postcard, picked up my pen, and signed my name on the document. The sun was bright, and the future was long. Story complete.